All right, let's get right into it. I want you to forget everything you think you know about creativity. Seriously, because today we're going to tear apart the old myths and figure out where those truly game-changing ideas actually come from. You ready? Let's go. So let's start with the big one, the question at the heart of it all. Where do great ideas really come from? Is it some magical lightning strike that only hits a few chosen geniuses? You know, the whole aha moment? Or is it something else entirely? Something predictable? Something that, believe it or not, any of us can learn to build? And right here, this is the central battle. On one side, you have the myth we've all been sold. This romantic idea of the lone genius having a sudden flash of insight. It's beautiful, but it's wrong. The reality? Well, it's a lot less magical and a lot more systematic. It's about a ton of output, a lot of hard work, and a process. The big takeaway here is that creativity isn't some mystical force. It's basically a numbers game. Okay, so this brings us to our first big idea, the math of originality. I know, math and creativity sound like they don't belong together, right? But stick with me. This is all about why quality actually follows quantity. It's a total paradigm shift. It's not about nailing it on the first attempt. It's about realizing that incredible work is almost an inevitable result of just doing a lot of work. So what does this math look like? Well, we have to start thinking of creativity as what's called a probabilistic system. Sounds complicated, but it's not. Think of it like this. Every single idea you have is like one lottery ticket. Yeah, the chance of any single ticket being the jackpot winner is super, super small. So what's the only logical way to up your odds of winning? Simple. You buy more tickets, a lot more tickets. And this idea is summed up perfectly in what I like to call the first law of the original mind. Get ready for this because it's a game changer. Quality is not the starting point of creative work. It is the residue left after quantity has done its work. Just let that sink in for a second. Quality isn't the goal you aim for at the start. It's the byproduct, the leftover gold, after you've sifted through a mountain of sand. And you can see this play out so clearly. Look at the selective creator. This is the person who's waiting and waiting for that one perfect, flawless idea before they start. The result? Barely any output, and, you guessed it, almost no breakthroughs. Now look at the prolific creator. This person is just churning out ideas, trying things, making stuff constantly. And what happens? Their high output leads directly to a higher number of those amazing breakthrough moments. It's just a statistical certainty. Okay, so we've established the what. Volume is king. That's great in theory, but the big question is how? How do we actually do this in real life without just creating a bunch of junk? Well, that's what's next. We're going to dive into some new rules for creating that turn all this theory into something you can actually do. All right, this next one might be the single most important rule of the entire system. You absolutely have to separate your thinking into two different modes. It's like having two different brains. First, you have the generate brain. Its only job is to come up with as many ideas as possible. Good, bad, ridiculous, it doesn't matter. There is zero judgment allowed. Then, and only after that brain is completely done, you switch on the judge brain. Its job is to be ruthless, to look at that huge pile of ideas and pick out the very few that have potential. This leads to another huge mental shift. We tend to treat our ideas like they're precious, fragile little gems that we have to protect. But they're not. Ideas are more like fruit. They're perishable. They have a shelf life. An idea that just sits in your notebook or in the back of your mind starts to rot. It loses its energy, its spark. You have to use it before it decays. So how do you use an idea before it goes bad? Here's a super practical technique, the 24-hour idea test. It's simple. The next time you have an idea that really excites you, that gives you that little buzz, your mission is to create a tiny, minimal version of it within 24 hours. I'm talking a rough sketch, a single paragraph, a quick and dirty prototype. The point isn't for it to be good. The point is to kill perfectionism and get it out of your head and into the real world where you can get actual feedback, not just daydream about it. Okay, I can hear what you might be thinking. This sounds exhausting. Just create, create, create. And that's a fair point. This is not about burning yourself out with mindless, brute force work. Not at all. It's about finding a sustainable rhythm. It's about being smart. So let's talk about how to manage all this, how to balance intense focus with really important strategic pauses. A great way to think about this is to manage your ideas like an investment portfolio. You don't just have one stock, right? You have a bunch. So at the conceptual level, you can have lots of ideas going on. Some are active projects, others are just kind of simmering on the back burner, incubating. Some are dormant, saved for way later. But, and this is key, when it's time to actually work, to execute, You focus on one and only one primary task. It's all about having a wide portfolio of thoughts, but a laser focus on action. And please, please burn this next idea into your brain. The pause is part of the process. Rest is not a reward you get after the work is done. It is a fundamental requirement for doing good work in the first place. Your brain does some of its most amazing work when you're not actively thinking. It's connecting the dots, forming those deep insights. That time you spend doing nothing, it can be just as productive as the time you spend at your desk. Okay, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, AI. How does all of this apply in an age where a machine can generate 1,000 ideas in a second? Well, I'd argue these principles become even more critical. The game isn't about letting AI be the source of our creativity. The game is about using AI as an insanely powerful multiplier for our own human process. Think of it as a partnership. The division of labor is actually pretty clear. We let the AI do what it's amazing at. Massive scale generation, creating endless variations, doing it all with incredible speed. It's the ultimate brainstorming partner. And that frees us up to focus on the things that are, for now, uniquely human. Things like intent, judgment, taste, that gut feeling, and most importantly, pulling it all together to create actual meaning. So let's start tying this all together. When you look at all these pieces, you realize the goal isn't just to stumble upon one good idea. No way. The real goal is to build your own personal idea engine, a system, something reliable that you can turn on whenever you need it, something that makes creativity a predictable, repeatable outcome, not just a random lightning strike you hope for. And the beautiful thing about this engine is that it runs on a compounding effect. See, creativity isn't like a tank of gas that you use up. It's a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every little action you take actually upgrades your imagination. Every time you release something into the world, it clears up mental space for new ideas. Your intuition gets sharper with every iteration. Pretty soon, your own momentum becomes your single biggest creative asset. So what this all means is that we have to completely reframe what originality even is. It's not some magic dust you're born with. It's not a trait. It's a habit. It's a pattern of behavior. And the best part about that, it means it's something that anyone, and I mean absolutely anyone, can decide to build for themselves. So I want to leave you with a question to think about. A challenge, really. Just imagine for a second what could happen if you really let go of this pressure, this myth of needing the perfect idea before you start. What would you try? What would you build? What will you create when you finally stop waiting?